was rising.
Let's just dive right in. Hey, everybody, we are Cellarmen's Folly. Part of the podcast we like to do is these interviews, and we have someone very special today. We found him on Instagram, viral video. I guess it went viral, right? You would say it went viral?
Oh yeah, I think it's up to over like 11 million views now.
Oh
viral. That is considered viral.
That is way viral. Wow, that's insane. And we have Sterling from the R Bar here with us today, and it's a special kind of bar. From what I have gathered from your Instagram, it's a home bar, and I have I do have a very small home bar, but it's nothing like what you have. And well, first of all, I want to say thank you so much for taking the time to be on our podcast. And my first question to you is, what are you drinking tonight?
So I've actually got a little store pick that I picked out. 3-chord. They're out.
Oh yeah, 3-chord bourbon. Oh yeah,
out of California. Pat Benatar's husband. But it's pretty good stuff. I was actually making some little bourbon balls with it, and figured I'd drink some with it too.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
Excellent.
That's awesome.
Excellent.
We do another podcast where the three owners of Cellarmen's Folly get together, and we have a segment where it's called the Mystery Whiskey segment, where one of us, maybe a significant other of ours, will go and pick up a bottle, and us three won't know what it is, and we have to try to guess is it a bourbon, is it a scotch, is it one of these things. And one of the mystery whiskeys a few months back was 3-chord bourbon. So
yeah,
kind of.
I don't think anybody got it.
No, we didn't.
No.
But awesome. So, as I said before, you have the most elaborate and well thought out home bar. How did that start? What was the idea behind it?
It was really just kind of an evolving process. We had moved into a new house a little over 2 years ago, and originally there was this downstairs office space, and we decided to convert it into a bedroom in case our in-laws got old and they couldn't go upstairs and they needed some place to crash if they couldn't take care of themselves. So we were going to turn that into the mother-in-law suite. Well, my in-laws ended up moving in 2 doors down from us. So we were like, well, we don't need this room anymore because they're literally 2 houses over. So my wife said, hey, let's build a bar. And she wanted to do this like 1920s like speakeasy theme, and I just started running with it, and she started running with it, and I was like, hey, what if we did like a secret door? Like, what if we did one of those like bookshelf doors? And so I just started Googling up, and I eventually found one. I was like, this is it, this is what we need.
Yeah, that's awesome. It was the door is like the kicker of the whole thing, because I'm like, what is going on? When you first see this viral video that how I first discovered you pop this little button on the side of the cabinet and it opens up and there's a door. Last night we did with our Patreon members, we like to do once a month, we do a Whiskey Wednesday call where we all get together and just have some drinks and chat about things. And we were mentioning interviewing you, and this one Patreon member, Holly, looked you up immediately on Instagram and was like, what is this? Like, it was crazy. And she was like, I want that door. She goes, I don't know if I'd put a bar behind it, but I put something secretive behind it.
Oh yeah. Yeah, everybody wants a secret room like that. It's just, what they want to put behind it, whether it's like a library or a gun room or a bar,
Right.
I haven't met it that doesn't want one.
Yeah. Wow.
That's insane. So you had the idea for a secret door, but like, did you immediately think like bookcase, like that's it? Or like, what were there other ideas that led you to that? Like,
so
to doing
bookshelf was like the first thing that popped into my mind, because, you think back to growing up as a kid and you're like, oh, Scooby-Doo, they always like pull the book and like the wall opens,
Yeah.
It doesn't get any cooler than that. So it was kind of like a childhood, throwback.
Right. Now, how does the mechanism actually work to like open the door?
So I was shopping around, and the website that I found that actually sells the kits for the doors, they offered an upgrade for a biometric scanner. So I was like,
Oh
well,
my
hold
God.
up. I can use my fingerprint to
Oh
get
my
into my
God.
secret room, sold, say no more, take my money. You know, I had to sweet talk my wife a little bit into the upgrade, but
Right.
it
Yeah.
was totally worth it. It never gets old. You know, put your fingerprint on there and be like, oh man, I feel like Batman or James Bond
Right.
every
Yeah.
time I go through the door.
How many people can actually use that? Are you the
That
only
was my
person that
next
can open the
question. Does it
door?
work with her fingerprint as well?
Yeah, so
Okay.
currently it's
Okay.
just me and
All
my
right.
wife.
All right. I guess this is the most important question. Does it work with your in-laws' fingerprints who are now 2 doors down?
It does not.
All right. All right. You got to have some boundaries because, you know,
Yeah.
like if my in-laws live 2 doors down, I don't know how I'd feel about that. But
So
it
it was actually my idea to get them to move in, like, because we were in a new development and the lots next to it, they weren't opened up yet. And so they came out and looked at our lot as we were building. And they're like, oh, wow, it's like really nice out here. And I was like, hey, you know, I bet we could get them to open up these lots next door. So it's actually us, my sister-in-law, and then my in-laws, like all in a row, all 3 of us.
You're just going to buy the development and you're going to have
Yeah.
home buyers
Right?
everywhere.
But they're great. A lot of people have nightmare stories about their in-laws, but my in-laws, they love to party. They're super great people.
Oh, that's awesome.
So we have a great time all the time.
Were they supportive of the elaborate home bar?
Oh yeah, they
Yeah.
love it. You know, they love you know, bringing their friends over to check it out, and
Oh
you
man,
know, hang out in here. My mother-in-law will make a bunch of white Russians, and you know,
Oh,
everyone has a
nice.
good time.
That's awesome. I want to keep talking about the room. We are a whiskey company, so we do want to dive into your collection if that's okay
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
also with the process of everything from start to finish, how long did it take? And I know this is probably a question you've been getting a lot, but
So we did this like super slowly.
oh,
I
gotcha.
think we've been working on it for about 2 years now. But I was literally like just doing work here and there on my days off work. You know, I'd be like, oh, you know, hey, I'm gonna put up a new shelf today, and then you
Yeah.
know, a
Yeah.
month later, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna put another shelf up. You know, or
Sure.
just
Yeah.
little by little.
It sounds like a good pandemic project.
Yes,
Yeah.
Because
that
you said
is
you
what
moved
we
in
did.
2 years ago, right? So that was
Yeah.
probably like you probably had a lot of free time.
Yes, it was
So-
like height of you know, cabin fever. You know,
Yeah.
we couldn't go out anywhere, and we were like, oh wait, you know, all this money that we had been spending, like going out to, you know, a nice bar or like a, you know, cocktail lounge. You know, if you're buying 2 drinks a piece at $15 a pop, hey,
Yeah.
that's
Right.
a $60 bottle of bourbon right there.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
instead
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
doing that, you know, once or twice a week, I just go out to the liquor store and buy a nice bottle.
I know. With that, how now that your video it's seemingly finished, I'm assuming it's always a work in progress, like right? Like you're just like,
Yes.
oh, let's put up these new lights and then put up another shelf, or let's switch this around. That's always going to happen, I think. But now that it's pretty much completed and your video has gone viral, are you getting people that you kind of know messaging you like like distant friends are like, hey, can I come over to your house now?
Yeah.
Like
When are we
how
gonna
often?
hang?
Yeah.
So
And
surprisingly, I haven't gotten like hit up by anybody, but I'm also super, you know, friendly with the bar. You know, my wife always makes fun of me that, you know, every time we're out or something and we, you know, meet new people that we like, hey, you guys got to come over and check out my bar.
You're picking up people
Yeah.
and bringing them home. Okay.
So
Oh,
we're
man.
always inviting new people over, always, you know, down to, you know, share a couple glasses of whiskey with some cool
of
people.
course.
Yeah.
Yes. That's awesome. So yeah, let's dive into your collection here. It looks pretty, I mean, you have shelves all around the
Everywhere.
place. Yeah. Do you have a number? Like what's your collection at right now? Do you know?
So we just counted the other day, and I think it's
Okay.
like unique bottles is somewhere around like 250 unique bottles total.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
Just
That's pretty high.
yeah, just for bourbon itself, I think it's about 140 just for like bourbon. and then
Yeah.
maybe like 40 or 50 or so for Scotch, and then maybe like a
Gotcha.
dozen for Irish, and then a bunch of like vodkas and tequilas and that stuff.
Of course. Yeah, you gotta please everybody. You can't just have
Oh,
it being whiskey.
Yeah. I mean, if it was us, it would be exclusively whiskey. But you gotta. I mean, if you're entertaining, you gotta have something like tequila.
And
Yeah.
then friends will come over and they'll be like, "Hey, I brought you like a bottle of whatever," and
Right. Yeah, of course.
they like to contribute to the bar, just because they know that I'll share like really nice stuff with them. So they're like, "Hey, you gave me a drink of whatever crazy stuff that I would never buy myself.
Yeah.
And so let me try and repay you."
Right.
That's awesome.
So, do you have like a favorite? It seems like you might be more of a bourbon drinker.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm just picking that up. Yeah. So, like, is there? Yeah, I could be totally wrong, but 100 plus bottles of bourbon kind of speaks to being a bourbon drinker. Like, do you have like a go-to or like a favorite bottle that's there, or like a special section of the bar?
Oh yeah.
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 My favorite bourbon is definitely Fireball.
Oh my God.
Can you say that again with a poker face?
Yeah.
So, oh man, it's hard. I could probably give you like a top 5, but to say, just one
picking your
single
favorite is hard.
one.
Yeah.
If I had to pick just a single one that was all-time favorite, it's probably gonna be a Scotch.
Oh hell yeah.
The Ardbeg Supernova. I love the peated stuff, and that's about as peaty as it gets. Is one of my all-time favorites.
You're speaking Colin's language right now.
Yeah, I'm drinking Colin right now.
Nice.
I love all Isla Scotch. That's pretty much that's mostly what I drink. So hell yeah. Anything Ardbeg, Lagavulin, Colin, anything on that small island, I'm just a huge fan of.
I did just I picked up the Octomore 13.1, and it is delicious.
There's one bottle of Octomore in town right now that I've been eyeing, but the store owner wants too much money for it. And I'm just going back and forth, being like, do I get it? Do I get it? Do I get it? I'm probably gonna buy it, but I'm
at the end of the
buy
day,
it. It's just like eventually I will cave.
I found a little secret, because like local stores here, they were wanting, I think it was like $329 plus tax, so it would have been over $350.
Yeah,
for the Octomore 13.3, and I was like, no way am I going to pay that much money for it. So you can actually order it from Europe and then just pay I think it's like usually like a $30 like shipping fee. But they'll sell it to you for $150
for like the actual like retail value. Yeah, I think the price that they were asking for was like $321, and I was like, I'm not doing that. Like, come on.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
I will say for bourbons, I did just pick up some of the new Jack Daniel's Tennessee Tasters, and those are pretty cool just from an experimental like standpoint and like trying out crazy things. They did a pecan finished one. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it's really good.
Pecan finish? No, that's really cool.
I guess they like drip it through pecans or something, and it's like 120 proof, super sweet, super delicious. It's crazy good if you guys can find it.
Nick, your sound is a little off.
Oh, we lose him?
There you go.
Yeah, sorry, I had my mute button on. I have like a little tickle, so I'm coughing, so I'm constantly hitting the mute button, but then I forgot to turn it back on. Anyway, Jack Daniel's. I kind of stay away. I'm not a huge fan of the regular black label. Yeah, but they've been doing some really interesting things lately, like really good stuff. And we have a member as well that we actually interviewed just like this. He is maybe, I don't know if you know, that's the one.
This is the holiday release that they just
That's cool.
Who we interviewed, he's the Drew Hainish. He runs Whiskey Lore, which is a podcast where he dives into like weird folklore about whiskey and stuff. It's like it's an interesting
And he knows the
podcast.
history of every distillery ever. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
it's really he's so
Yeah,
knowledgeable.
it's fascinating. Yeah.
And he was saying that like there's that one thing where when you're in college or high school or whenever you started drinking, there's that one booze where you can't take anymore. And
Yeah.
his was Jack Daniels. And but doing his podcast, he's been trying different kinds of Jack Daniels, and he's just been saying lately they've been putting out some really good stuff. Really good stuff.
Yeah, they
So
I think ever since Jeff Arnett took over as the seventh master distiller, they really just started pushing the innovation. They went from what was it, like 4 core products where it's just black labeled. I guess it was like 3 black labeled Gentleman and Single Barrel.
yeah.
Their product line has just exploded.
Oh yeah. I mean, and then I was like, I don't know if I like Jack Daniels that much. Maybe I should dive back into it. And then they started coming out with like the fire and the apple. And I'm like, okay, they're just covering up their whiskey with like liqueur, but their other side
They're doing
lines
some
are,
interesting stuff.
yeah, very interesting stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Oh,
Forgot to
and
tell
you
something,
lights
like-
too. Oh, that is badass.
Ooh, oh yeah, decorations. Love
Now,
it.
are those year round, or is that just a season thing?
I just put those up like a week or 2 ago.
Okay, all right. So we're gonna just chalk that up to like Christmas or whatever. But
It is. I can decorate the whole bar for Christmas, and I can give you guys a little tour here.
Okay.
When
Should
to
we-
wrap them up.
Oh
You want-
yeah.
You want to do it now, or
Oh, let's close with it. That'd be a good closer.
yeah.
These interviews usually tend to go around like a half hour to 40 minutes or something like that. Nothing too crazy for you.
Yeah.
And I did have another question here. Let me go back to my list. I think I wrote it down, or maybe Colin wrote it down. Oh yeah, we wanted to ask you more about whiskey. We see that you are like a certified whiskey enthusiast. Is this correct? Yeah. Why don't you talk about, because I actually had to look it up. I wasn't really sure. I mean, in the whiskey world, I feel like I should know about this, but
Yeah,
we didn't
it's
really
kinda
know much
weird.
about it.
We owned a distillery.
Yeah.
This is never something we've never heard of.
Yeah. So what was that? What's that all about? And what's that like?
so I started getting really deep into whiskey and just researching it all, and I started looking at making the switch over to the spirits industry for a career. And I was looking at the different certifications that they have, like the WSET, the CSS, Certified Specialist of Spirits, and then I stumbled upon Bourbon Steward. And so the basic level is super super surface level. I think they charge you like $75, and they just kind of teach you the basics of bourbon, like all the legal requirements of barrel entry proof and distillation limits, age requirements, all that stuff. And then I started looking at getting a nosing kit, and I asked one of my buddies who works in the spirits industry, and asked him for recommendations for nosing kits. He's like, actually, the Bourbon Steward nosing kit is really good. And most of the nosing kits I saw were running in the couple $100 range. So I said, hey, the executive level of the Bourbon Steward comes with a nosing kit. So I said, extra, $100 or something, and I get a little certification to go with it.
Oh, okay. Cool.
That's really fun.
Yeah, that's really fun too. And you get to just like, I don't know, me just learning more about whiskey in general, not just bourbon, but just the overall is it's just fun. I think that's how we got into this business, was just like diving and nerding out. To call something like Lagavulin the same type of spirit as like Four Roses is wild to me. You know what I mean? Like it's so drastic. It's like anyone who's never even had whiskey could just smell the difference between them. It's like, and it's like, why is that a thing? That's how we started diving into whiskey and just doing endless research and be like, oh, okay, we can make something out of this.
Or it's also funny. Just to give you a little bit more background, is like we actually started, and this says it on our label. we got started by just hanging out, because there's three of us. Our other business partner isn't here tonight, but just hanging out in Nick's home bar, doing nothing but drinking whiskey and eating cheese. That's literally
Yeah.
all we did. Was we would make like elaborate cheese boards and just drink whiskey and do that constantly. And that's where we had this idea to come up with the distillery. But it's really fun because that happened in a home bar.
Yeah,
Not
that's
a home
awesome.
bar like yours.
It was nothing like yours.
It was scaled down a lot, but it was a
Yeah.
home bar nonetheless.
It was
So
in an unfinished basement, and I think I found the bar on the side of the road. So that's the elaborate.
but it was
yes, of
but
ours.
it had the spirit of what you have.
Yes, of course.
Hey, that's what it's all about, good friends
Exactly.
and good whiskey.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
So-
for sure.
I can actually relate to, that whole, feeling of, just nerding out on it and then trying to make a living doing it. Because I actually just quit my career as a firefighter to go back
Wow.
to school for fermentation science.
Oh, wow,
Wow.
that's awesome.
Yeah, so I'm going through a fermentation science, bachelor's program right now, and actually working on developing a brand new type of, whiskey. They just created this new sorghum hybrid, and so
Oh,
we're
wow.
doing some research with using the brand new hybridized grain from that to make bourbon.
Awesome. You want a
That's
job?
really
You want a
cool.
job in New York? If you want a job in New York, just like
Yeah. If you're not content with your bar and your house in Tennessee, I mean, we can help maybe get a helicopter to bring it here. But by all means, come on over. But that's
Yeah.
exactly pretty much how granted, we do this as a hobby, or we started it as a hobby, but it was pretty much the same thing, just hanging out and nerding out and be like, you know what? Like, I bet we could make this better, or I bet we could blend these and make it better. And it just kind of grew
Yes.
from there,
Yeah.
Granted, we took a different path. We just, had the crazy idea to just start a damn company as opposed to going to school first and learning about it. But, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
You got to start somewhere.
Absolutely.
So like,
Like
what is your end game then? Like, if you get your degree or you just learn enough to figure out like exactly what you got to do, like, what are your plans?
So originally, the grand idea was like, oh, I'm going to go get my degree. I'm going to learn how to make, whiskey, and then I'm going to go open up my own distillery. Well,
Okay.
we met with a, distillery startup consultant and talked with him about like the costs of starting an actual like production facility and,
Yeah.
like decent size and everything. And
It's
having
scary.
to get investors and time to like where you're actually turning a profit. And I said, maybe I'll hold off on that, for
Yeah.
like 10 or 15 years. So right now the short-term goal is graduate in the next 2 years, and I want someone to give me a job making whiskey. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can make really great stuff and love what I do. Wake up, every morning for work and say, man, I get to make whiskey,
For a
and
living.
people pay you to do it.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah. We actually had a very similar experience where we had a mentor who was a distiller and then cashed out, and his distillery was bought. I don't remember who bought them, but
Mike's
it was
Mike's Hard Lemonade bought
Yeah.
them out. Yeah.
yeah.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
in any case, yeah, similar kind of situation. And we were looking at the initial startup costs, getting all the equipment, everything else, how long it takes to turn a profit, and that was like kind of daunting. But where he steered us was kind of the direction that we ended up taking, by initially becoming a blendery, where we didn't necessarily. So our path to ultimately, we want to do the same thing, where we're distilling everything and we're doing grain to glass, but this at least gave us the ability to be like, okay, we can work with some really high quality products, blend the shit out of them, make some really expensive stuff, put our name on it and get it out. So that's kind of how we started, or at least how we are starting. We actually only got our liquor license to legally sell 2 days ago.
Wow.
So,
Well,
yeah,
congratulations.
Yeah. Oh, thank
totally
you.
random. Yeah. I mean,
Cheers.
we've been, it's funny. We've been operational for over 2 years, but have not
Yeah.
legally been able to sell anything.
Yeah.
because
New
it's
York,
taken,
New York State is strange with their
yeah,
laws
it's
and stuff.
strict as hell.
Yeah.
But it's taken that long, and it actually only happened 2 days ago, which is just kind of funny.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
That is
we
awesome.
found that person that was helping us out through, and I mean, it's funny because you're in Tennessee. We have a friend that's in Chattanooga, who started her own bitters company, and she reached out to her local small business development center, and it's a free service. It's
Yeah.
usually at like a local college or something like that, and they kind of like, oh well, this is how you do it, and they know all the laws of the land, and they know how to, and like, oh, we know this one person, and they put us in contact there. So if you ever are looking to start like just a small, you know,
Yeah.
Yeah, you
just
want to
go
take
there
your
first. Yeah.
experimental bottles or experimental barrels and then turn it into a bottle and sell it. Like that's how.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really easy to get that far, because otherwise, like all the
Unless
regulations and
unless
shit.
there's a huge pandemic,
Yeah,
worldly pandemic,
yeah,
then
if
it's
there's
not so
another one
easy.
of those, then obviously, that screws with it. But
Yeah.
it is just kind of interesting, given, what you're aspiring to do. It's like, oh, we found ourselves in kind of the same situation,
Yes.
Right.
oddly enough. Like, and I think that's a interview first, you know, Nick, like, because we've
That
talked to other people who are newer distillers or who just started distilleries or whatever,
sure.
but they were
Yeah.
people who had like tons of experience or whatever else. So this is a first where it's like, oh, we kind of have like the same origin story,
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
we're trying to
Yeah.
we're trying to get started in the same way. So it's just
You're
kind
right.
of funny how that happens.
Yeah. So one big question that I had, and probably should have started with this, but what does the R in the R bar stand for?
So that's our last name.
Okay.
Ah,
I
Rod.
assumed that actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So we were trying to come up with a name for our bar, and we were playing around with some different stuff, and we had some really, really terrible names that we came up with. And
What
maybe one of our.
can you list some of those terrible names?
Oh no, I have
yeah. What was
deleted
the
those.
worst
They were
one?
so bad. Uh, but I think someone said, "Oh, what if you just called it our bar?" And then it just kind of like clicked in my head. I was like, "Oh, yeah, our bar's cool. What about our bar?"
R
And just
bar. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
I
just
like
let
that.
our bars that are hour, and it's got the same sound, and
Yeah,
then
it's kind of
everyone,
like a double entendre there.
yeah.
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 So
Gotcha.
it just
Nice.
it just stuck, and we liked it, and people started saying, "Hey, yeah, that's our bar," and we're like, "Okay,
Yeah.
that's what it is now."
That's awesome. Cool.
Love it.
Love that. Yeah, just one small question, and then, well, I mean, Colin, you have anything else here?
Depending on what you ask, I might.
Okay.
Maybe
Okay.
not. Maybe not.
Well, just being
'Cause we
in
could be here all
Tennessee.
day.
Yeah, I know. We could just talk whiskey for hours if we wanted to, but just being in Tennessee, do you happen to have more Tennessee whiskeys than Kentucky bourbons?
I do not. There are
Okay.
way
Oh, that's
more
good.
Way more
way more
bourbons than
bourbons
Kentucky.
out
Okay.
there than there are Tennessee whiskeys. So,
Okay. I wasn't sure
I,
if you're are you born and raised in Tennessee?
I am.
Yeah.
Okay.
I do love Tennessee whiskey, and I love supporting like local craft
Sure.
distilleries. But there's just so much more stuff coming out of Kentucky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
I
hard
agree
to
with you.
compete.
Yeah. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah. But yeah, that was the final question I had. Colin, did you have anything?
Yeah, before the I guess tour, if you will. Now, you said you had what, like 11 million views?
Yeah.
Okay, so that's probably a lot of people. How many
Probably.
people? Yeah, probably. I mean, I don't know. It could be one guy just like watching the video over and over on repeat and getting.
That was me. That was me,
Yeah,
guys.
it was me. Yeah, I watched it 15 times in the last day. But has anybody actually? Because I mean, you've probably gotten comments of like, I gotta do this. I gotta put this in my house. Do you know if anybody has actually been like, I'm gonna do this, and then they have actually tried to make a crazy ass home bar like this too?
So I've actually had a few people reach out to me, and they'll say like, "Hey, your bar is like a huge inspiration.
Yeah.
This
It
is
really
like my
is.
basement that I'm working with. I'd love, if you could give me some advice on, building this or that, or ask me questions about the door." And so I always love to help them out and answer whatever questions they have. But I've probably had maybe a dozen people or so that are like
Okay.
in the process of like making
Oh, that's
something.
cool.
They're like,
That
hey,
is
I saw it,
awesome.
and
That is
and
awesome.
I'm gonna turn this into a secret bar now because that's just so cool.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Okay. So on the flip side of that, just kind of because I am curious, like, have you given people any doubts because you're like, oh well, actually, I've spent this much money on booth alone, and that might have sticker shock. Like, has anything like that happened?
No,
Okay.
I always encourage them, and actually, people's estimates of like how much money I've put into this room are always like way over like what I've actually spent. So
Okay.
I always
Yeah.
tell people, because they ask like, oh, like how much have you put into the room? Like it's got to be like 20 or like 50 grand or whatever. And I've got less than 5 grand into the room, not counting booze.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Not kind of,
yeah,
okay.
we gotta be very important, not counting what's on the shelves. Okay.
Yeah. I have to say, because most of it is just decorating the room, because the room was already there, right?
Yeah.
It's probably mostly that door, right? I assume that's probably where
Yeah.
most of the money probably
I
went
think
to.
the door ran us maybe like about $1,500
Yeah.
for like
Wow,
the door.
That's probably
that's
the most
awesome.
of it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
that's cool.
Yeah.
That's
And
really
then
cool.
most of like the furniture and like even the bar in here, we picked it up on like Facebook Marketplace for cheap.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Right.
that's awesome. Nice.
Did you guys? Oh, I guess this is something maybe I'd see if you like give a little tour, but like, wasn't there a window in the room? Did you actually
Yes.
do something with the window, or did you just have like a blackout curtain?
I just put a blackout curtain over
Okay,
it.
all right. I was
Nice.
like, because at first I couldn't tell, and I was like, oh my god, if this guy actually took the window out, that would be too much. All right.
Yeah.
No,
All
I just put a curtain over it, and it adds to the vibe of the room, and
Yeah.
no one even knows
Nice.
it's there. They're like, oh, I
Okay.
just thought you had curtains there.
Right.
That's
Okay.
cool. Yeah, should we do a little tour here before
Yeah.
to end?
Yeah,
end it?
definitely.
You're gonna see us like going in on the camera like this to see what's
I
going
love
on.
the ceiling too. It's so fun.
Oh yeah. So to put the little tin ceiling up, I think it was about maybe like $500 to do that. Just bought them off of like Amazon. Here, I'll kind of go over to the door. So I got a little push button exit, a little magnetic lock there.
Oh, that is so cool.
Wow.
That's my dog.
There's the dog.
Hi, dog.
Does the dog go in the bar?
Wow.
No, we try to keep the dog hair out.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah, you can see it's got the little finger scanner right there.
Wow, that's so
So
cool.
okay, so there's the scanner there, and I take it you just did you just build the book around that, or is that actually like a real thing where you have a book that conceals? Like, is that a real product where you have a concealed book type thing?
Yeah, it's just a book made out of like wood, and
Uh-huh.
this one was actually painted, and the little stickers put on it by my grandmother.
That is so cool.
And I just kind of put it on there, screwed it into the door, and built the scanner into it.
Love it.
That's cool. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, we got a second
Oh
dog.
my god, all the dogs are here.
So we got some little wall sconces from Goodwill. I think they were like $5 for wall sconces at Goodwill.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised how easy it is to pick up stuff and like relatively cheaply but nicely like decorate a place.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, like Facebook Marketplace. Like Nick just bought stuff for our shop with it.
Yeah.
It's terrific.
Wow,
Yeah, like
cool.
these lovely chairs. We got them on Facebook Marketplace for like $150 or something for the pair of them.
Yeah.
That's awesome. They look beautiful.
Yeah, they look really nice.
Oh, it's that little mini fridge to keep the Jaeger
No.
and the
So
okay.
we ran out of room, so I've got some like tequila and stuff down there.
Oh, cool.
And keep all the Glencairns down there at the bottom.
Oh yeah.
Fill it back up.
Nice.
Yeah, we got all the scotches up here on the.
Oh yeah.
I like how you keep the canisters too.
Yes.
It
A lot of
makes it
people don't
look
do that.
really, really polished.
Yeah, and then this is kind of like the overflow, overstock closet. Got a whole bunch of
Was
junk.
that like a bedroom closet? Is that what that was?
Yeah, it looks
Yeah.
like you may have just taken the door out and converted.
That's
Yeah.
so cool, man.
Oh,
I haven't even, like,
that's a proper use for a closet.
yeah, I haven't even like sanded, and I put the wood filler in the holes, and then I haven't even like sanded it and painted it yet.
Nice. Wow,
Yeah.
dude. This is so cool, man.
Oh man. Yeah, this
So-
is tremendous.
You can actually see we got my dogs right there.
That's awesome.
This is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, probably about half of these photos are like actual like old family photos, and then like the other half are
cool.
just random ones we found on
Wow.
Google.
So do you feel like it's complete, or like what do you want to do to this, or like add to it, if anything?
Yeah, what's your next
Yeah.
your next project for the place, if you have one?
So what I would really love to do is I would love to put up crown molding, but I don't know anything about crown molding, so I've kind of been holding off on that. And
You'd be surprised. It's not too bad.
Yeah,
and then-
Colin just did his whole house, didn't you?
Well, not my whole house, but I've had to redo it. So funny enough, I moved into my house pretty much exactly 2 years, well, about 2.5 years ago now, but right during the pandemic. So I had a lot of time to figure out how to basically redo everything. And
Nice.
ground molding is not bad at all. Like, honestly, like just to like touch it up and stuff, watch like 1 or 2 videos on YouTube and spend like 20 minutes researching it, and it's you figure it out. Maybe talk to somebody like who's done it to get like some advice, but honestly, it's like really not bad at all.
All right.
Yeah.
Because that's kind of how I did everything in this bar. Like, I am not a super handy person, so it's be like, oh, how hard could it be to build the shelf and put it up? Okay,
Right,
I'll just
yeah,
do
yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
That's how you learn. And now look at you. You built the whole thing and you
Oh
have
yeah.
11
Yeah.
million people looking at it. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's awesome, dude.
Yeah. Does it have I'm curious, I couldn't tell based on the bar itself. Do you actually have a wet bar or anything? Or is there any kind of running water?
No, I don't.
No.
That's the one thing we'd probably add. One of our friends is much more handy than we are, and he's told us that when he has some free time, that if we want to, he'll come over and
Just run a water
drill
line.
a hole in the floor and
Yeah.
tap into
Yeah.
our plumbing and run some water here and run a drain. And
Yeah,
That's a
I
lot
just
more
don't-
work than crown molding.
it is.
Yeah.
Like we're about to open our tasting room literally tomorrow, and we don't have a wet bar. Like we have to do dishes. We have to go down the hallway into the bathroom and do it. Like
Yeah,
it's like
it's a lot of work.
it's a lot of work, but it's we're just doing like to-go cups and stuff right now. So there's literally no dishes that need to be done. But we had our friend is also a plumber, and he goes, yeah, it would be pretty pricey to put a wet bar right where you want it. And we're like, all right. But yeah, it's
we just trade him some bourbon.
that's usually what we do,
have
actually.
done that a couple times in the
Yeah.
past. Yeah,
Yeah.
that wouldn't be the first time that we've had some kind of exchange like that. So
Yeah. One question I want to ask you, and this will my absolutely final question. If I personally send it, we do have we can't call it a bourbon because, as you know, there's so many laws and there's so many different rules about calling something bourbon. We use a lot of used barrels for our stuff right now because
Okay.
we don't have investors or loans or anything like that. We're doing everything ourselves. So right now
Yeah.
we're kind of cutting down costs. So we're using used barrels for stuff. If I send you a bottle of our bourbon style Auburn Reserve whiskey, will you put it on your shelf?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All right,
Hell
cool.
yeah.
I'll put it like prime time, like right behind the bar, somewhere.
Nice.
yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, that
Well, that's-
product probably won't be ready for a while.
Yeah, it's
but-
still an aging process, but we're
Yeah, it's got a ways to go, but we do have another one that's much closer.
Yeah.
But yeah, that would be
like it.
tremendous.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, absolutely, man. I love hearing what you guys are doing. That's fantastic. I just blended my first bottle. I'm guessing at a pretty similar kind of operation to what you guys are doing. Where they source whiskey from different people, and
Yeah.
then they, age it in barrels and whatever, and you can go in and, custom blend your own bottle.
Mhm.
And man, that blending process, my first experience with it, like it can get you can get really off in the weeds with it. Be like, "Ooh,
You
I like the,
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, there's however many places that's all they do,
yeah.
oh
in
yeah,
big places. I mean, like Johnny Walker is they blend, like,
Yeah.
you know. So it's
Um,
like, yeah, you can really go and just do small tweaks and it becomes a completely different product.
oh, I
Or
know.
like dilute something down from even like 86 to 80 proof and it tastes completely different. Like you can
Yeah.
go crazy with it.
You can go crazy. I've always had this idea of doing, I know Colin, I've talked about it before, but a blending event where like our Patreon members would get together. They're all kind of usually in the upstate New York area, and all get together and we have all these different kind of whiskeys and we're just blending and see
Yeah,
who
yeah.
has the best blend. But best meaning like my personal opinion. You know what I mean? Like blending is
Right.
oh yeah,
all, yeah. If you have a little bit of extra rye in yours, guaranteed I'm gonna like it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
um, but yeah,
yes,
it's wild. And to come up with just one product and have it stay consistent is tricky sometimes when you're blending. So
Especially with
um,
blend. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we're getting there. We're getting there. We have some corn whiskey and some rye whiskey coming out sooner. And then we have a bourbon style coming out probably in,
Probably like the middle of next year.
yeah, something like that. So
Yeah.
we'll keep you in mind when it hits the shelf for sure.
yes, I'm excited for it, man. I'm
Yeah,
excited for you
absolutely.
guys. So
Awesome.
congratulations on your
Thanks,
tasting
man.
room and your liquor license.
And congratulations to your new educational venture. I mean, that sounds
Yes,
awesome.
Yeah, man. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, Sterling, thank you so much for taking the time. It was awesome to meet you, and we'll keep a relationship on Instagram.
yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah, this has
Cool.
been super fun. Yeah, and
Yeah.
you have by far the coolest home bar ever.
Yeah, I mean,
Thank you, thank you.
Yeah. And for everybody who's listening in, again, that is I know what it is off the top of my head. It's on TikTok. It's at the
The R bar.
bar
yeah.
underscore bar. Is it the
Yeah.
same on Instagram?
Yep, same
Okay.
same
All right.
thing.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah. So go check them out. If you're listening, go add the R Bar on Instagram, TikTok. Are you everywhere now? Like because
Yeah,
of
I'm not like super I'm mostly just active on Instagram.
okay.
But we kind of open up with the social media accounts on everywhere just so no one else could take the name.
Yeah, good idea. Good idea. Go check them out. The video is great, but you gave us even a better tour just now. So hopefully
I
people
know.
watch this instead of that.
I know.
Yes.
Clip that and put it up and that'll go viral too.
Yes.
Right.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sterling. Appreciate it. Give the best to do you have a son or a daughter?
Son. Yeah.
Son. Well, congrats. It's a baby, right? Like, was it
Yeah. He's
nice?
like
Congratulations.
15 months right now.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Congratulations.
Little guy.
Well, best to the son,
Nice. The
wife,
wife, everything.
in-laws, and 2 dogs.
And this,
Yeah.
Well, if you guys are ever down in Tennessee, I'd love to have you guys over and share a couple pours with you.
dude.
We'll hand
Well,
deliver a
all
bottle
right.
for you.
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. All right.
All right.
Got to run,
Thank
but
you
thank
so
you so
much.
much, Sterling. Appreciate it.
Yep.
See ya.
Have a good one.